Hello there. If recent polls are to be believed, the heat is being turned up a notch to give the Scots another bash at an independence referendum. An Indie Ref 2. Firstly, please subscribe and like this video to give my channel a boost. And I'm always uploading new content, so please do check back daily. In 2014, the Scots voted by a margin of 55% to 45% for Scotland to remain a part of the United Kingdom. But many things have changed in the last 6 years. The main change being that after being told that voting to remain in the UK was the only way to guarantee Scotland continuing to be a part of the European Union, they suddenly found themselves being dragged out against their will after the 2016 UK-wide EU referendum, where Brexit won the day. Add on top of that 10 years of a Tory party UK government, and the scene is set for the mainly EU-loving and essentially left-wing population to feel aggrieved. And the backlash has surfaced in the form of two recent polls that put Scottish independence firmly in the driving seat. The first of these is a YouGov poll between the 6th and 10th of August, where 1,142 Scottish adults, which means 16 or over, were asked about their voting intentions where, as can be predicted, the overwhelming answer was for the SNP. But the other question asked was how they would vote in an independence referendum. YouGov had also run the same poll in January, where yes to an independence won by 51% to 49%, excluding the don't knows. But in this latest poll, that has now increased to 53% for yes versus 47% for no. And more recently, a panel-based survey for Business for Scotland came back with 51% for independence, 42% for staying in the UK and 7% undecided. When stripping out the don't knows, that equates to 54.8% to leave the UK against 45.2% to stay in the UK. That would represent a reversal of the 2014 referendum. Gordon McIntyre Kemp, the CEO of Business for Scotland and the Believe in Scotland Independence campaign, said, "The reversal of the 2014 result is a huge landmark. 55% yes will send shockwaves throughout the political world. There is no conclusion to draw from this new set of data other than the writing is very definitely on the wall for the Union." And going on to refer to the huge expected win by the SNP in next May's Holyrood elections, he said, "The referendum that will be demanded following May 2021 Holyrood elections on these figures would start with yes to independence commanding a 10% lead. Independence is now significantly the majority decision of the people of Scotland and its momentum looks solid." And the SNP deputy leader and former Royal Marine Commando Keith Brown said, "With consecutive polls putting support for independence above 50%, it's clear this is not a trend but the established position of the Scottish electorate. So this does not look good for unionists such as myself. However, democracy is king. Or republic. Or President Sturgeon. Or whatever. Now, it's not like we'll have the Holyrood elections one week, quickly followed by a referendum the next. These things do take time. At least 10 months to a year would be my guess. And during that time, the rules for the referendum would be set, with the obvious issues being: do we learn the lessons of Article 50 and insist that the SNP negotiate with the UK government before the referendum, and then present their offer to the Scots people to be voted on? I believe that is what those like the SNP wanted in a second EU referendum, wasn't it? So it seems a fair path to go down, but I'm not sure the SNP would want anything other than a simple in or out vote this time. But how about a subsequent vote on the deal itself anyway? Surely that makes eminent sense. Then there's the wording of the question and the wording of the answers, in order that they cannot be seen to lead the voter. And next will be the vexed question of who would be eligible to vote. Everyone resident in Scotland only, aged over 18, or including the 16 and 17-year-olds? Or would it include those Scots living elsewhere in the UK, or even further afield? That old political warhorse and Scots unionist George Galloway has weighed in on this aspect of any referendum and demanded that separatism must be answered by all Scots. Taking to Twitter, he said, "I'll tell you this, if there's to be a second Indie Ref, then 795,000 Scots living elsewhere in the UK must have a vote. If UK expats can vote in general elections from Spain, then an existential question like separatism must be answered by all Scots." And Galloway has launched the Alliance for Unity campaign and is looking for candidates to stand in those elections, with their website saying, "The Alliance for Unity has been formed by George Galloway on a cross-party basis to secure the defeat of the SNP in May 2021 and an end to the referendum on Scotland's future." And Galloway writing, "SNP rule of Scotland has failed, neglecting education, health and other public services in their pursuit of their referendum directly impacts on everyday life for all Scots." And they pledge to work with any and all pro-union parties to stop nationalists from holding a second independence referendum. So they're not actually talking about winning a no vote, but stopping the question even being asked in the first place. But that would require Galloway's Alliance for Unity at least carving out a fair old chunk of the SNP's projected majority. And he would be trying to stand on the same platform as the Tories and presumably Labour. But will they join him? The 2014 referendum, or Indie Ref, was touted by all as a once-in-a-generation or even a once-in-a-lifetime event. So it will be a hard task to get the UK government to agree to it. Unless the SNP election result is so large next year as to be persuasive. But if it were agreed, then the SNP leadership would be camped out permanently in Brussels, trying to get them to allow Scotland straight into the EU club. Domestic needs would come a distant second, I would surmise. But with a currently outsized deficit and the question of the Spanish and Catalonia in the background, the SNP might get told, "Don't call us, or we'll call you." Then what would the plan B for the SNP look like? Try and hang on to the coattails of the rest of the UK and use sterling? And do what they did last time and demand a seat at the Bank of England to have a say in setting interest rates? And this is where it will get all sort of murky. Because they can't have conditions on leaving like, "We'll only leave once we've got EU membership, until then you're stuck with us." Or, "If the price of oil goes down, you owe us the difference." They will probably also try to get the rest of us to give them a huge goodbye payoff too. And probably the same cheeky pension demand as the last time. The SNP will try and claim that Scotland should have its share of some mythical UK pensions pot, knowing full well that when a taxpayer pays tax into the system today, that money goes straight to a pensioner today. There is no pension pot. And the SNP will no doubt try and shrug off any suggestion of shouldering their portion of the UK debt burden. But as I hinted at earlier today in another video on this, the SNP will drive a very hard bargain by using the one big bargaining chip they do have. And that is they will demand the instant removal of the UK nuclear deterrent from the Faslane submarine base and RNAD Coalport should they win. Now that would be an almighty headache for Westminster. But if they did that, would they also refuse the protection of NATO on the basis that it is a mainly US nuclear-armed setup? And would they also refuse to join in the EU military programme because of the French nuclear deterrent, la force de frappe, or more recently known as the force de dissuasion? Anyway, expect next year to be as politically charged as the last few years have been. And one point to bear in mind is that the SNP will need to ensure their economy flourishes after Brexit for a couple of very good reasons. 1. They will want to look like they really are presidents in waiting. And 2. The economy will need to be on the up to ensure a successful start to any independence. But if the economy is doing well, then Westminster and Brexit could take the kudos, with voters choosing no to independence on the day. But if it's not doing so well, then voters may not want to take the chance and still vote no. Especially if the UK government sets a hard and short deadline for negotiations and leaving, and made the final vote a vote on the deal itself. Anyway, if you want to hear more from me, please don't forget to subscribe and also press that little bell, or you won't get any notifications. And if you want to see more of me, buy a mug with my mug on it by following the merchandise link in the descriptions box below. So what do you think about Scottish independence? Please share and comment, and thank you for watching.